Hello everybody, I'm Axtinguisher, and for the first time in my almost 5 years of playing Team Fortress 2, I have equipped the Axtinguisher, the pyro melee weapon that gets insta-crits against burning targets. And you might be like, why did you choose now to do it? I mean, you played for 5 years, didn't you play like when this thing was insane, when you got close to anybody it would just kill them? Well yeah, I played during that time, but I was really bad when I started playing, and I never played pyro, I never understood it, and I really hated the Axtinguisher back then just because of how powerful it was, and how easy it was to kill people with it. If a pyro got close to you with it, you were pretty much dead. And now that it's got nerfed, actually it got nerfed during the Tough Break update, which was my 4-year anniversary of playing Team Fortress 2. Don't believe me? Check my mercenary badge. But that aside, a lot of people have been complaining recently about the Axtinguisher nerfs again, because the pyro update is supposedly coming soon, hopefully. I'm fingers crossed there. But people are like, oh, it needs to be rebuffed. It isn't good anymore. It doesn't do any damage. It's pretty much useless to have because it has a slower swing speed and a slower draw time. But what if I were to tell you that the Axtinguisher, when paired with any other flamethrower, can do more damage in a short amount of time than the flamethrower can do on its own? So with that, I'm going to start jumping into numbers here. So I'm going to be comparing the stock and the degreaser because the stock is completely identical to the backburner and any other ones, while the degreaser has its own switch times, which is the major thing that we need to be worrying about here. Now, with the stock and the degreaser, the minimum and maximum base damage are the same per particle of the flamethrower's damage. They can do a minimum of 4.76 damage, which will truncate into 4 damage, and a maximum of 6.8, which will shorten into 6. They both take the same amount of time to do this damage of 0.044 seconds. And the switch speed is where they really start to differ, because the stock takes 0.875 seconds to switch to the Axtinguisher, and the degreaser takes 0.6125 seconds. And they both do 131 damage with the Axtinguisher combo. So the total time for each of these, with the stock is 0.919 seconds, and the degreaser is 0.656 seconds. Now, when we're considering the total damage, we also have to consider the afterburn that is done in that interval. So both of these are under 1 second, so they'll only be doing 1 tick of afterburn. So the stock will be doing 3 damage and the degreaser will be doing 1, giving the stock a minimum damage of 138.76 and a maximum of 140. The degreaser will have a minimum damage that's slightly less with 136.76 and 138. This means while used with the stock or the degreaser, the Axtinguisher can easily kill any light class in the game like the scout, engineer, or sniper in under 1 second. Now you might be like, okay, but couldn't you just do that by walking at them with the flamethrower? Well, we can actually find out how much flamethrower damage you would do in that interval of time that it takes to do this Axtinguisher damage. And because we know the attack interval of the flamethrower's particles of 0.044 seconds for both of these, we can find out how many particles of flamethrower damage will be applied in the time it takes to do this Axtinguisher damage. So for the stock flamethrower, the time takes to hit them with 1 particle of flame and switch to your Axtinguisher is 0.919 seconds. So by dividing this by 0.044 seconds, and we truncate all of the decimals because you can't have a decimal of a particle, it'll tick 20 times in that amount of time, giving you a minimum of 95 damage and a maximum of 136, which is slightly less than the maximum damage you can do with the Axtinguisher combo. But where this really shines is with the degreaser, because in the 0.656 seconds that the degreaser takes to pull out the Axtinguisher and swing it, it can only do 14 ticks of flamethrower particle damage, meaning its minimum damage will only be 66 and its maximum damage would be 95. This means that when paired with the degreaser or the stock, the damage you do by hitting them with a flamethrower and then pulling out your Axtinguisher is greater than just holding down your flamethrower into them. So now that I've been gushing over why I love this numerically, I mean, being able to one-shot light classes like the Scout in less than a second, almost half a second with a degreaser, is incredibly powerful, and it really does play to this role of the pyro as a close-range character. Now, is this like the best melee weapon for the pyro that exists? No, I would definitely say the power jack is still better as a utility option, and the back scratcher would still work better as something to put out damage with reliably. But if you're playing in a situation where you have to play around a team, so say you're playing with a medic and a heavy, and you're reflecting spam and helping them out, you're not going to be able to use the back scratcher. And if you're in a situation where you don't have to use the power jack, I would say the Axtinguisher is an incredible choice for this, and it's also incredibly good just for switching up how you play pyro. I mean, I know a lot of the times I always just hit them with my flamethrower, pop them up, hit them with a shotgun, hit them with a flamethrower, pop them up, hit them with the flare gun, hit them with the flamethrower, and just run straight through them. Using the Axtinguisher is actually pretty fun because you get to chase them down with that melee weapon, and it really does make you feel like that close range character. Now, for people who think that this weapon should just be the end all for close range combat like it used used to be. I mean, when you were just able to take down heavies with this thing, I do not agree with that opinion, just because the heavy is the heavy. He's supposed to be like the biggest guy on the field, and I know the pyro is supposed to be the close range flanking character, but I don't think you should have just an option that can completely melt the heavy. And if you want to be doing something like that, use the back burner, because that really rewards skillful like flanking and knowing the map to be able to get behind them and melt them before they even know you're there. Now, I would recommend using this weapon with the degreaser just because of how much faster you can get it out, and it pairs so well with it because of the slower switch speed and the degreaser's faster switch speed. But I would never recommend using a flare gun like I am in these clips, because I mean, while I might be able to do two different combos, the degreaser to flare gun or the degreaser to extinguisher depending on who I'm fighting, it doesn't help at all if there's an enemy pyro. So the flamethrowers are always a bad option when fighting an enemy pyro. The flare gun will only do 30 damage because the pyro can't burn, and because the pyro can't burn, the extinguisher won't be able to crit, so you'll be doing less than normal melee damage to them with it at the reduced swing speed, so it's really not worth it. And unless you want to be chipping away at them with the 30 damage flare gun shots, or just, you know, M1ing into them, you're going to want to have a shotgun to deal with them. And also having the two different combos to choose from doesn't really pair well with each other, because you'll either want to pull out the flare gun from instinct or you want to pull out the extinguisher. You won't be able to go from degreaser to flare gun to extinguisher very well because you won't have the degreaser's switch bonus, so you have to deal with a slower switch speed to get from the flare gun to the extinguisher. This might work well in certain situations, but having a shotgun is definitely more beneficial. So all in all, I really think the extinguisher is a really good weapon when it's used in certain situations, but it's definitely outshone by some of the other pyro melee weapons, namely the power jack and the back scratcher in certain situations, but it's still really fun to use. I would definitely recommend using it if you've never used it before. If you're one of those people who are like, oh my god, this weapon sucks now since they nerfed it in tough break and gunmetal, I would recommend you re-look at what it can do, because it might not be what it used to be, and what it used to be is kind of insane. Like, you have to take a look at what the weapon is now and play with it. I don't think it needs a buff. I think it's in a pretty good state where it is right now. I don't want to see it become some super powerful, like, just end-all weapon like it used to be. So if you have any like major complaints, or if you really love the extinguisher, if you like hate it, like tough break ruined this weapon, leave a comment, you know, say what you think about this weapon, and I'll definitely respond to it. I read all of those, and it really means a lot when I see them. And with that, I hope you have a great day, and good luck in all your future pyro endeavors.